Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to GBFC 2 for 10 things we learned from the end of another Premier League game week. I know that there's literally the next one about to begin a couple of hours after you guys watch this video, but Premier League predictions will be out in 2 hours time. I've kind of struggled with my upload schedule as I often do throughout the 9 years plus now of my YouTube career, but the New Year's resolution is to be on top of everything when it comes to work, and we're going to start that a little earlier than New Year's Day, because why the bloody hell not? Why wait for the 1st of January to get your together, proverbials? But you know, here we go. 10 things we learned. We're going to go through all of the games from Boxing Day, yesterday, however many days it's been scattered over. It's another very interesting weekend of Premier League football. Boxing Day fell on Saturday, which I think is the best day for Boxing Day ever. It's the dream. Christmas Day on Friday, Boxing Day, and then you can relax on the 27th after consuming copious amounts of beer, champagne, wine, or some kind of soda drink of your choice if that's what you're preferring to drink. However, we're going to start off by taking a look at the Premier League table. And as a Chelsea fan, it's not pretty, but you also look above, and it's so close that a win against Aston Villa and we could be back in the top 4. Liverpool currently top the league with 32 points. They had a pretty bad result by their standards yesterday at Anfield. Everton are in second. They're in good form. They've now won 4 games on the spin. Leicester in third with their first draw of the season against 4th place United. Spurs, City, Villa, Chelsea, Southampton, West Ham, Wolves, Leeds, and then we get into the bottom half of the table with Newcastle, Palace, Arsenal, Brighton, Burnley, Fulham, West Brom, and Sheffield United. So let's start off with the game at Leicester. It was a 2-2 draw between Leicester and Manchester United. United's goals, unsurprisingly, coming from both Bruno Fernandes and also Marcus Rashford. Leicester, they've been looking good recently. The biggest thing I've said about them all season is inconsistencies, which I think is actually something that we could use to not just describe Leicester, but the whole of the Premier League, really, to be honest. Liverpool didn't pull away this weekend. Spurs didn't bounce back. They've got 2 points from their last 4. Even Chelsea have 3 points from their last 4, but we're here to talk about the Leicester game. Harvey Barnes, very impressed by this guy. I think he's a player with a lot of tenacity, a lot of flair, and I think he's actually one of the key players now in that Leicester team. People talk about Vardy. Maddison gets a lot of the plaudits as well. But this season, I think Harvey Barnes has been absolutely brilliant. He's one to watch. As for United, Rashford's in good form. Bruno Fernandes, world-class player, one of the best in the Premier League. 2-2, I think, is a fair result, and a result that both teams, despite not allowing one of them to pull away from the other, I think both teams will be relatively happy with a point. Now, the next game we're looking at is Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace. This one, Aston Villa, they just keep on surprising people. They just win games. They win games playing good football, scoring a lot of goals. It's another clean sheet for Martinez in goal. What an amazing signing that's been. Some could even argue that it's actually the best signing of any Premier League club so far this season. When it comes to the 1st of January, with the transfer window open, there'll be a lot more transfer content here on GBFC 2, but Martinez is a brilliant goalkeeper. He got the Man of the Match award again, which if you use the Premier League app, which I often look at, it's always Jack Grealish. Even if he isn't the best player on the pitch, people just love Jack Grealish because he's brilliant. I love Jack Grealish, and I've got a soft spot for this Aston Villa side. I don't today because Chelsea have got to bloody beat them, but they play some really good stuff. And even when they go down to 10 men, they still play the same way, and they're so well organised, and going forward, they create so many opportunities. They've got some great players in there. It was a 3-0 win for Aston Villa. Palace struggling. They're conceding a lot of goals at the moment as well. In a little bit of a downward spiral. They've got to bounce back. Roy Hodgson's their manager. I don't see them going down. But as for Aston Villa, they've got 2 games in hand as well. The top 4, maybe. Who knows? They're playing good enough at the moment. The next game to look at is Fulham versus Southampton. It was a pretty drab 0-0 draw. Not going to lie, I said that I thought Fulham would win this one, despite Southampton being much higher up the table. As for Fulham, right now, they're a team that I've said have been playing some really nice stuff, but they're not converting draws into victories, which is exactly what they'll need to do if they intend on staying in the Premier League. It's another point and another game not lost, but they've got to start converting more of their chances. They do create quite a lot, but they're not converting at this point. As for Southampton, they'll probably see this one as like a middle-of-the-road draw. They would have liked to have got the win. They're still in the top half of the table, but not going to spend too much time talking about this one. It was a Boxing Day, turkey in the belly, nothing special. Well, you guys already know from 6 things that we learnt that I dissected Chelsea's display at Arsenal as an abomination. Arsenal win 3-1, great result for them. Arteta gets it right. Lampard gets it wrong. If you want to really know what I thought about this game, then the main channel, 6 Things We Learned from Arsenal 3, Chelsea 1, will probably give you my opinion. Man City, comfortable home win for them. They've kind of stopped doing what the City of the past few years have done, which when they score an early goal at home, they often would go ahead and score 4, 5, 6 or 7. It wasn't like that against Newcastle. Newcastle actually defended quite well for the majority of the game. We know that with Steve Bruce in charge, there's not going to be any beautiful football on show, but you look at this Newcastle side, and apart from a couple of players, you don't really see where beautiful football could potentially come from. So, job well done from Manchester City. They're ticking over. You know, they're not picking up as many points as they would have liked to, and they are still outside of the top 4 with a game in hand, but it's another job well done. There was a goal for Gundogan and also Torres, I believe, who's the new signing, who's actually looking pretty good. I think he scored a hat-trick for Spain a couple of months ago as well against Germany, who included a couple of our Chelsea boys in there as well. And since then, it's all gone sour for them. So cheers for that, Ferran Torres, but good win for City. Next up is Everton. Gylfi Sigurdsson, again, he seems like a man reborn under, what's his face, flipping Carlo Ancelotti, as if I could forget his name really, to be honest. Double winner at Chelsea. Everton get the job done again. It wasn't pretty. Sheffield United are still absolutely struggling beyond belief at the bottom of the table. Chris Wilder, he's come out since that game and he said something along the lines of, if I need to motivate these players, then I'm out. I mean, it wasn't exactly Lexis to that degree, but that's how I read it as a fan and somebody who looks at journalism in football and likes to look at the semantics used. Sheffield United are struggling. They're not picking up any kind of results. Everton left it late for the goal, Sigurdsson scoring in the 80th minute, but it's a good win for them. They got up to second in the table, and with Liverpool dropping points that we'll discuss in a moment, who's to say that Everton can't mount a challenge as everybody else around them doesn't seem to be able to win? It's a clean sheet for Leeds United. Who would have thought it? They've conceded the most goals in the Premier League this season, despite being in mid-table. Bielsa, nominated for Manager of the Year, yet when you look at the defensive stats this season from Leeds United, it's awful. There's a mosquito. Hang on, let me see if I can get him. Nope, missed him. I think I clipped him though. He's fallen to the floor. Leeds win 1-0. A Patrick Bamford penalty with inside the first 5 minutes. Good result for them. Clean sheet. Burnley, you know you're not going to be able to get bucket tons of chances against them. So, job well done. Different side of Leeds United. Grinding it out a little bit more as opposed to the free-flowing, all-scoring, all-conceding football that we've seen from them this season. I was actually excited for this one. I watched a little bit of it and was disappointed. Wasn't the best football match ever. Leeds get the 3 points and we move, if I take a look at the list, to West Ham United 2, Brighton 2. Good result this one for Brighton. They've been playing some poor football recently. West Ham went to the Bridge on Monday night and got beaten a week ago. So, you know, it's kind of the result that brings them back into the swing of things. Take a look at the goal scorers. I didn't really watch too much of this game. Ben Johnson scored. Thomas Souček again scoring for West Ham. The guy seems to turn up with a lot of goals. Lewis Dunk and Neil Maupay scoring the goals for Brighton. Run-of-the-mill, mid-table clash. Brighton, they're still struggling. Relegation candidates potentially. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. But good result from them away from home. And moving into the final 2 matches, I did watch a lot more football of these two. Liverpool 1, West Brom 1. What an incredible Sam Allardyce masterclass this is. West Brom bought him in, despite getting a good result. They bought him in, fired the manager, bought in Sam Allardyce because they know they're in a relegation dogfight, and who better to bring in to actually guide them and steer them to safety than Big Sam himself. Sam Allardyce is probably one of the most old school managers left in football in terms of the way that he sets his teams up. It is back to basics 101. And this game at Liverpool was like back to basics on steroids, to be honest. Liverpool played very well at times. They created a lot of opportunities, missed a lot of opportunities, scored a very nice goal. And then West Brom did enough by putting 11 men behind the ball to save themselves a point away from home at the champions. It is the kind of result that they'll get multiple times with Sam as their manager. It's never going to be an interesting game of football watching West Brom play. But if you are old school, traditional, and you like to see your team get points, then West Brom might just do that now by playing this style of football. Liverpool will be frustrated that they didn't manage to capitalise on a weekend where all of their rivals, once again, apart from Everton, drop points at the top of the table. This is why this season in the Premier League, it's so hard to predict. And it would be, if you look at what happened with Liverpool's draw and then Tottenham's draw, which is the final thing we're going to talk about today, as a Chelsea fan, it kind of makes the sourness of that terrible defeat away at Arsenal a little bit more bearable. You know, often when Chelsea lose, I have to just make sure the next game's a win to make me feel better about it. But with everyone dropping points, Leicester dropping, United dropping, Tottenham dropping, Liverpool dropping, it is kind of a silver lining of a very dark grey weekend. You know, silver's better than grey. Liverpool get a draw, they won't be happy with that. And Spurs, it's now 4 in a row without anything. They've got 2 points from their last 4 games. A good result for Wolves, who Tottenham went there. It was typical Mourinho performance. Get a goal, kind of not park the bus. They didn't really park the bus at all, but it was more of a case of they were grinding out the result to get the 3 points to turn their form around. Neto scores a late equaliser. Wolves managed to get themselves a draw. As for Tottenham, we talk about a title race, and it's one thing to say that Chelsea have got 3 points from their last 4 games, losing 3 of them. They're out of the title race. Now that Spurs haven't won in their last 4 and they only drew again, it's 2 points from their last 4 games. Why is the conversation not about Mourinho's team bottling it and falling, the same way that everyone is jumping on Frank Lampard's back about him not being a good enough manager for Chelsea Football Club? I don't want to talk about that one too much more. Gonna leave it as a little afterthought. We've got more football to play tonight and tomorrow, so maybe I discuss the Mourinho fallout if Spurs don't win their next game, which I think they probably will. But good result for Wolves at home again, grinding out results, difficult team to play against. Spurs struggling again, the goals have dried up, and that rounds up another weekend of Premier League football. The best thing about this is new games tonight, Chelsea, Villa and many others as well. Thank you guys for watching. If you could, let me know about your team in the comments down below. 10 things is a bit of an ask in terms of leaving a comment for all 10 games, but if you want to, I'll definitely go give it a read and react to some of it in the comments section below. Subscribe to GBFC too if you're new around here and haven't already done so, and I'll catch you guys pretty soon here on this channel with Premier League predictions for these games coming up. See you all there.